Welcome. This is Dominique Brooks, getting ready to start this audio Bible study. And it's really not a Bible study, it's basically a teaching on people who are hungry and what you need to do in this hour, alright? So, I will start from the book of Matthew 5 and 6. The Bible tells us, these are Jesus' words. It said, "Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled." When my wife was pregnant with both of our daughters, she had an appetite. And in this season, after we birth what God has inside of us, there needs to be a hunger. She had an appetite. The only thing she was concerned about after she had both our daughters was that she was worried about eating. After you have birth, there comes a hunger. God says in this season He needs hungry people. When we deal with present situations in our life, we become depressed. Depression comes when things do not go our way. We hear prophecy after prophecy that things will get better, but it looks like every time we hear the prophecy, things are doing the exact opposite. When you are hungry for something and you can't get it, you don't have any money, you don't have no one to call, what do? You suffer with what you have in your possession. Hungry people will go for anything to fill their desire. Hungry people will get desperate. Hungry people will get crazy. Hungry people will lose their mind just to satisfy their craving. Watch this, because they are starving. And when you are starving, you will do what you think you won't do just to get filled. When you are hungry, everything looks good. Even some things that will have you messed up in the future will get your attention because you are hungry. You will go out of the way of who you are, watch this, to fulfill your flesh. Which means you will do stuff that you know in your power that you wouldn't do if you was in your right mind. But because you're so hungry, you're going to do whatever just to get full. And God says the point of starving with an appetite is to hunger. The point of being hungry is to suffer. Some of you in this hour are going through suffering and you hate suffering, but some of you think that the suffering is coming from the devil, but I came to tell you that it's coming from God. Some of you are suffering spiritually because of your flesh, and your flesh is full but your spirit is empty. That's why when praise and worship and prayer is going on, you can't sit or stand wherever you are in church and look like a dumb deer in headlights, because you will not get to where you're going if you're not hungry for God. A lot of times we wonder why everybody else getting a breakthrough and everybody else is getting stuff that they need. It's because they're not in their flesh. And because you're in your flesh is so full of junk that your spirit can't get nothing. Your flesh is so full of lust. Your flesh is so full of lies and envy and gossip and cursing and evil ways. And you wonder why you can't get to the next level, because you have so much junk on the inside of you. And your spirit man can't operate with something else. This suffering is going to make you hungry for God. I understand some of you feel like the walls are caving in. Some of you are feeling like you're being smothered by life. But can I tell you on today that there is a glory after this suffering? There is a hunger after you suffer to indicate that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared. Why? To the glory which shall be revealed in us. This suffering cannot compare to what God wants to do in your life. This suffering cannot be compared to the glory that will be upon your life. God said you have to be willing to suffer. Suffering is a part of the process to where He wants to take you. And suffering is a part of the fellowship between you and Christ. If you are going to go after God in this hour, if you're going to go to another level, you have to prepare to suffer. We want God to do things for us, but we do not want to suffer. God is not looking for people who want the easy way out. He is looking for people who are willing to suffer. If you suffer with God, guess what? You will reign with God. Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and we can't fast for 1 hour. Hear the word of the Lord. God is not passing out breakthroughs and blessings to people who won't suffer. Your blessing and your miracle in this season is coming from your labor. I never seen in my generation where we're more hungry after everything else but God. We hunger after everything else. We want a pastor. We want to preach. We want to be a prophet. We want to prophesy. But we can't go through persecution. We don't know how to pray. We have no discernment. We have no Holy Spirit. Don't you know that God can see everything you're doing in this hour? You can't want something and still do something else. You cannot hide in this season. You either go after God or take a seat, because God is not looking for a people who's hungry after positions and who's hungry after man-made things. He's looking for people who's hungry after Him. Is there anybody out there who will say, forget the title, forget the fortune, I just want God? This is not the hour to be hungry for everything else. This is not the hour to be popular. Here it is. The main things that is popular now is prayer. If you look everywhere, all on social media and all on flyers, and people are praying, which is good, but God showed me that some people are doing it to be popular. And God says, don't do it to be popular. Do it to get closer to me. Do it to change your situation. Don't follow the crowd, but follow the pattern. What is the pattern, preacher? The pattern is men shall always pray. How is that the pattern? Because if you follow that, you won't have to wait on no one else to call you to prayer. You will go ahead and start praying yourself. Two things, hungry people. Waiting is just for a moment. This is the biggest thing people hate doing, is waiting. This generation that I'm living in is a very microwavable generation. We don't want to wait on anything. We want everything quick, fast, and in a hurry. But my grandfather used to tell me good things have a waiting period. You can't put a timer on things that are being developed. This waiting period is not because you prayed the wrong prayer. It's not because you didn't pray. This waiting season is for God to see how long can you hold on. When a chicken lays an egg, there is a waiting period for that chick to hatch. If the mother of that chick breaks the egg before it's time and the chick hatches before it's fully developed, the chick will be half developed and won't live long because it has not come to its full maturity. And what God is saying this season, your season of waiting is for a moment, but because if God allowed you to reach your destiny now, you won't be hungry no more. You will be gloating in the fact that you reach your place before somebody else. But the truth of the matter is, you've reached your destiny, but you're undeveloped to carry your destiny. What is destiny? Destiny is an event that will happen to a particular person or thing in the future. We want to reach certain levels and we want things to happen, but you don't want yourself to grow. In knowing that you reached a place and knowing that another part of you has not reached its potential. It will always be easy when you have help to push you into where you are supposed to be. But sometimes you gotta push by yourself. Waiting is only for a moment if you stay hungry and thirsty. The problem with waiting is how long it takes. The reason why some of us have been on a roller coaster this year is because we don't know how to wait. When some of you get in a relationship and you're not in it for the right reason, and all you can think about is how good it felt to be in it just because they knew what to do and how to do it, now you're stuck with somebody who don't care about your feelings but only care about the pleasure. You mess yourself up when you cannot wait. Or watch this, when you go buy a house and you get in there and it look good on the outside, but on the inside a couple of months roll by and that house that was once beautiful and had everything you wanted goes down the drain. So now you're stuck with a house you done bought because you done seen everybody else get that same house that looked like the one you got. Waiting will prepare you, because if you would have waited, you would have seen that the relationship wasn't going to work. When he or she said they didn't love you or never wanted to talk, but always got their hand out. I know some of y'all in some relationships like that. If you would have waited, you would have checked out the house before you bought it, trying to be like everybody else. God didn't bring you to where you are now to be like everybody else and to experience the consequences of not waiting. He brought you to the place you're at now to teach you how to humble yourself. Hungry people, if you wait, you will get and be everything God has called you to be. But if you go beyond your waiting period, doing it your way, you will become undeveloped because you did something early when it wasn't your time. The Bible said, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up as wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. If you wait, you will be strengthened, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. If you wait, you won't be weary and you won't faint, because if you don't be weary in well doing, in due season you shall reap if you faint not. Touch somebody or talk to somebody around you or text somebody and tell them waiting is just for a moment. Hungry people, lastly, never lose your hunger. Your hunger is what keeps you going. Your hunger is what keeps you motivated. You should never lose your hunger because of the situation you're in now. You cannot afford to commit spiritual suicide because everything around you is not going how you expected it to be. You cannot afford to be depressed because things aren't going your way. You cannot afford to lose your mind because everybody in front of you is birthing purpose but you. But I come to prophesy to every birther, everybody who's listening, that after you have birth, there will still be a hunger. I prophesy to every birther that your water has not been broken yet, but your mouth will be a sword to cut open everything that has swallowed your breakthrough, everything that has swallowed your miracle, everything that has swallowed your purpose. In this hour of your life, you will cut open every demon and witch that has taken what you needed God to do, and you will birth. By this time, your water should have been broken. By this time next year, every vision should have come to pass for the forefront. Every breakthrough shall happen to where you shouldn't have to go back to who you used to be. By this time next year, you should be helping other people push out their purpose. I prophesy that you will be a birther. Every barren person shall birth. Every vision shall come to pass. And I stop every demonic demon, and you shall die by fire, coming up against the will of God. Hungry people, stay hungry. Hungry people, listen to me. Stay on the wall. Don't lose your appetite. The more you stay hungry for God, the more you shall eat the fruits of your labor. Stay hungry.